It started like a normal afternoon, the kind you never think will turn into something you tell people for the rest of your life. My pregnant wife was sitting in the passenger seat of our car, one hand on her belly, the other holding her phone. She had just come back from her doctor visit. Everything was fine, the baby was healthy, and for once we both felt calm. We were talking softly about dinner plans when I pulled into our neighborhood. That's when I noticed something was off. HOA security was already there, not patrolling, not doing rounds, just standing near the entrance of our building, watching, waiting, and the moment I saw them, something in my gut tightened. My wife noticed too and asked me if everything was okay. I told her to relax and just stay inside the car while I checked what was going on. I stepped out and walked toward them. Before I even got close, one of the HOA members came straight toward me like he was already prepared for an argument. He said, "There was a violation report against our vehicle and restricted access concerns." His tone wasn't normal. It was sharp, like he was trying to take control of the situation before it even started. I asked him calmly what exactly the issue was, but instead of answering properly, he turned and signaled toward my car, and everything changed in seconds. Another HOA security member opened the passenger door of my car without permission. My pregnant wife looked up completely confused. I immediately raised my voice and told him to stop and close the door right now. My heart was already racing because nothing about this made sense, but they didn't stop. Instead, they told my wife she needed to step out of the vehicle immediately. No proper explanation. No legal reason that made sense. Just demands. My wife looked at me, confused and scared, asking what was happening. I told her to stay inside and not move until I figured this out. That's when the situation escalated. More HOA members started gathering around us. Their voices got louder, their attitude more aggressive. It stopped feeling like a simple complaint and started feeling like pressure, like they wanted compliance no matter what. And then one of them reached again toward the door. That's when I stepped in front of them. "My wife is pregnant," I said firmly. "She is not getting out of this car for something that has not even been explained properly, but instead of backing off, they doubled down. They said we were violating community enforcement rules and needed to cooperate immediately. The way they were speaking made it sound like they had full authority over us, right? There on the street, my wife was now visibly shaken. Her breathing was getting uneven. She kept one hand on her stomach and kept asking me what they wanted from her. I could see fear building in her eyes, and that is the moment everything in me shifted, because this was no longer about parking or rules. This was about her safety. I told them again to step away from the car. My voice was stronger now, but one of the security members physically stepped closer to block me while another moved toward the passenger side again, and then it happened. They tried to guide my pregnant wife out of the car. She gasped and pulled back immediately, shocked and terrified. I moved fast to stop it, but another security member blocked me from reaching her. For a few seconds, everything turned into chaos. Voices overlapping, my wife calling my name, their instructions getting louder, my mind trying to process something that should never have been happening in the first place, and that is when I realized I needed help immediately. I took my phone out with shaking hands and made one call. To my brother. All I said was, "We need help. Right now at our location." What they didn't know at that moment was that my brother was not just anyone. He was a SWAT captain, and within minutes, everything they thought they controlled was about to completely change. The moment my call ended, everything around us felt frozen in that uneasy silence that only comes right before something big happens. My pregnant wife was still inside the car, one hand on her stomach, the other gripping the door handle like she was trying to stay grounded. Her eyes kept moving between me and the HOA group standing too close, still talking like they had control of the situation. But they didn't. Not anymore. I stayed between them and her car, not moving, not backing down. My voice was steady when I told them again to step away. This time I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to, because something in the air had already changed. They could feel it too, even if they didn't understand why. And then we heard it. The sound of engines turning into the street, one by one. Not rushed, not chaotic, controlled. Black vehicles slowly entering the neighborhood like they already knew exactly where to stop. The entire atmosphere shifted instantly. Neighbors started looking out of windows. Conversations stopped. Even the HOA security members went quiet for a second, like they suddenly realized this wasn't just a normal complaint anymore. The first vehicle stopped. My brother stepped out. He didn't rush. He didn't look around in confusion. He looked straight at me first, then at my wife inside the car. His face changed the moment he saw her. That was all it took. He walked directly to us. No hesitation. He spoke to my wife through the window in a calm voice, telling her she was safe now, telling her to breathe slowly, asking if she needed anything immediately. My wife nodded, still shaken, but I could see her starting to relax just a little. Then he looked at me. Just one question. "Is everyone okay right now?" I nodded. That was enough. He turned toward the HOA group, and everything went silent again. Behind him, more officers arrived. Not aggressive, not loud, just present, calm control. The kind of presence that changes the energy of an entire situation without a single shout. The HOA members suddenly didn't look confident anymore. The same people who were giving orders just minutes ago were now carefully choosing their words. One of them tried to step forward and explain. He started talking about community rules, complaints, violations. But my brother raised his hand slightly and stopped him without saying a word. Then he spoke. Calm, direct. He asked who authorized physical contact with a pregnant woman inside a private vehicle. Silence. No answer. Another attempt was made to explain, but it fell apart immediately, because there was no real justification, nothing that made sense in a legal or ethical way. My wife stayed inside the car watching everything. I stood beside her door, not letting anyone get close again. I could feel her hand still shaking when I held it. But she wasn't alone anymore. That mattered most. Then the officers began documenting everything, photos, statements, names, every detail carefully recorded. And that's when it hit the HOA group. This wasn't a verbal argument anymore. This was an official situation now. One of them tried to backtrack, saying it was all a misunderstanding, that they were just enforcing rules. But even he didn't believe his own words anymore. The confidence from earlier had completely disappeared. My brother listened quietly, then responded in a way that made everything clear without needing threats or emotion. What happened here would now be reviewed properly. Every action, every decision, every interaction, and if necessary, it would proceed through legal channels. That sentence changed everything, because now they understood this wasn't something they could talk their way out of. This wasn't a neighborhood disagreement anymore. This had consequences. Slowly, the HOA members started stepping back, not running, not arguing, just realizing they were no longer in control of the situation they created. My wife finally opened the door slightly and moved closer to me. I immediately held her hand. Her grip was tight, like she needed that connection to feel safe again. The tension in the street slowly started to fade, replaced by silence. Heavy silence. The kind that comes after people realize how quickly things can spiral when power is used the wrong way. After everything was documented, my brother came back to us. He looked at my wife again, made sure she was okay, then looked at me and said something I won't forget. He said situations like this don't get decided by who is louder or stronger. They get decided by who stays calm long enough for the truth to surface. And he was right. Because in the end, everything they tried to justify didn't matter anymore. What mattered was what actually happened. A pregnant woman was pressured. A line was crossed. And control was taken away from the wrong hands at the right moment. When everything finally settled and the officers began to leave, the neighborhood felt different, quieter. Like everyone had just witnessed something they wouldn't forget any time. Soon. My wife leaned into me as we finally sat together again. Still shaken, but safe. That was all I cared about now. And if there is one thing I want you to take from this story, it's this. No rule, no title, no authority gives anyone the right to intimidate or physically pressure someone's family, and When it happens, the truth always finds its way out. If you are watching this, comment what you think should happen next in a situation like this. I want to know your opinion. And don't forget to share this story with someone who believes in standing up for what is right, and subscribe to Karen's Stories Daily for more real-life stories that show how fast everything can change when the wrong people push too far.